Welcome to Behind the Badge with your hosts,
Lieutenant Ryan Williams,
and Officer Cammie Vandermolen.
your source for all things Fond du Police.
It's KFIZ today on a Friday. That means Behind the Badge, our weekly visit with the Fond du Lac Police Department. Full
House.
house.
We had to bring extra furniture into the studio.
We did. We got 4 guests in studio. Of course, that was the voice of Lieutenant Ryan Williams, LT. We got Recruitment and Retention Specialist Cammie Vandermolen in studio. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
And you are in the studio is actually 3 Sabish SROs.
Yes.
Or former Sabish SROs with Cammie, myself, and SRO Jesse Pimental is in the house with us.
And, and a former Sabish student here in myself.
Oh,
and Officer Clapper too. Wow, look at this. It is Sabish in the house right now.
Let's do it.
And who used to be a frequent of the show, SRO Clapper, is also with us. And so we decided to go and find the best of the best because as school's starting, it started for some people already. We wanted to hear right from the people that are running the show some stuff about school safety. So we brought them in the show. So this is Jesse and this is Marcus. And Jesse, in your opinion, like what do you think would be like if you had your chance to tell everyone to make them safe? Like what would you advise to them as far as school safety? Something you run into a lot.
Thank you very much for setting that up for us, LT. I think that the biggest thing when we talk about school safety is making sure that kids are following the expectations of the school and also being kind to one another. A lot of times, a lot of things that we see in the schools are stemming from issues with other peers, and things a lot of times can escalate with the use of technology, being online, and bullying and things like that. So a lot of times those things spill in over into the school and cause a lot of issues with school safety in the form of peer-to-peer contact. Also, when we talk about school safety, we talk about with school starting off, especially for the younger kids and even the older kids, is they're traveling to and from school. There's going to be a lot of cars out there. You might be going to a new school starting at the middle school level for 6th graders, or a different situation along those lines. But knowing your routes, staying on the sidewalks, using crosswalks, looking both ways for cars and things like that, and being vigilant to watch for motorists, because they, especially if you're on the shorter side or you're younger student, they might not be able to see you as easily, and you can be and find yourself in a tough situation. So a lot of times, to prevent some of those issues, if you want to plan your route ahead of time, work with your parents to figure out which way you're going to go, where you're going to cross, try to manage those situations ahead of time, especially early on, making sure that you're using good sound judgment in any type of travel situations.
So sometimes, especially if you're moving to different schools, so if you're a 6th grader, first time in middle school or first time in high school, that can be stressful. I don't want to throw my daughter on the spot, but I will anyway. We did her orientation and she could not get her locker open. Oh. And something so simple, but it's the stress. So imagine you have all the new school stuff, you have all those things going on. So we went back and we actually just kept on having her get it until she got it and was confident with it, to get that off the table. But planning your route, are you going to be there on time? And be there on time. Don't be late the first time you go to school, which sometimes the buses are still figuring that out too, so you can't do anything about that. But just kind of set your child up to succeed as far as those first days. And waking up. They spent the whole summer of basically just being able to wake up whenever they wanted, that depending on the child. Get those schedules a little bit ahead of time so they're used to waking up at school time, so they can make these SROs jobs a little bit easier. Marcus, is that kind of along the lines of what you're seeing?
Yeah, Jesse had a lot of good points, and there's a lot of things that he actually stole from me that I was thinking of. But
somebody needs to call the police then.
Some things that I just want to bring up is in today's society, I think everyone's kind of aware what happens at schools across the United States, unfortunately, with like school threats, active attackers, stuff like that. So I will add in, like, if you see something that's suspicious or you hear something that might possibly transpire, please don't ignore it. I would rather have you report that to whether it be the school or the police department or a school resource officer and have us investigate it and it be nothing, rather than not report something and something happens and we could have prevented it. Obviously, as police officers in a school, our number one priority is safety of our students and staff. So keeping them safe starts with people at home, whether it's parents, relatives of these people, or even peers. A lot of times in today's day and age, a lot of students or kids post stuff on their Snapchat stories or Instagram stories, and when research is done into these attacks that have happened, a lot of times the attackers do post stuff on their social media before they do that. So if you see something like that, please say something so we can try to prevent it before it happens.
And I'd just like to add to that, those are all excellent points. It's really important for parents to stay involved in their kids' schooling, and even outside of school with monitoring their social media and things like that. This is my 5th year in the schools as a SRO. I also was a teacher for 10 years prior to coming to Fond du Lac. And the students that are the most successful are ones that try really hard and also have the backing of their parents. You know, if you're supportive of your child, they will excel in school. So, and also you'll be able to pick up on any issues ahead of time before they turn into big issues. And then that's when, and school administration and law enforcement might have to be involved. So try to handle things before they get started, or try to prevent things before they get to the level that could cause some complications for you.
Well, one of the things as well is even if you don't have a kid going to school, you're going to see a heavy presence of officers and squad cars around the schools, because we have to get people to slow down. And so you are going to see it, and if you do speed through those school zones, you're going to get pulled over, and you're probably going to get a ticket, because we want to take this seriously. There are kids that are still learning on things like crossing traffic and stuff like that, and they sometimes make mistakes and dart on the traffic, and we don't want it to be a fatal one. So we are going to have a heavy presence in our school zones, so just note that if you're going through them, take it slow. We just want everyone to be safe as they go to school.
And what's the timing of that as far as having to adhere to that lower speed limit?
Well, it depends. It says when children are present, and per state statute, I would have to review that to make sure that I'm correct, but I believe that it's when there's at least 2 children present. I don't think there's an actual time frame, because it could always be different, right? Every school has different start times, stuff like that. So safe bet is if there's the beginning of school starting, or release time, or you see multiple kids present, just adhere to that speed limit, because fines do double in school zones. So
Yes, and generally those speed limits are going to be 15 miles an hour during school zones. A lot of those areas, most of them are located within neighborhoods or schools. So the speed limit is already 25, which, a lot of times I see drivers have a difficult time trying to adhere to that. So 15 is going to feel really, really hard to do, but you really got to try to do it. Because there's going to be the law enforcement presence. And I'd also add, if you go to Savish, we do have a lot of construction going on Peters Ave. Or if you're somebody that's traveling through that area to get to Evans, try to go around that if you can. It's the construction, the road's all torn up. It is open to local traffic, but if you can navigate around that so you don't have to go through that and have those type of concerns with your vehicle or construction zone personnel and things like that, and just make it easier for everybody.
The pickup and drop-off zones too are important. Some parents, and I'm sure they can back me up on it, they just seem to not be able to follow the rules, and they just feel like they can just park wherever they want and pick up their kids. Number one, bus lanes, they have to be open. You can't park in the bus lane, any school. You can't park in the bus lane of any school. It's restricted. You can get a citation for that as far as like a parking type ticket or something like that. There's a lot of kids that need to go out, so I understand that your kid is important. It's important to us too, but we have a lot of kids, so you can't sit there waiting for your kid and block like 15 cars from getting in and out of traffic. So please be respectful of other people. The best way to do that, depending on what school. So every school has different kind of pickup stuff. Some are better than others, but if you have one where you know that parking lot's gonna get jammed up, get a place just a little bit further away that you know no one's gonna take, but you know that your kid can find you there right away, and that is the best, because then you're always parked in the same spot and your kid knows to meet you there. That will kind of clear up things. Yes, on a rainy day, your kid's gonna have to get a little wet. I'm sorry for all the children out there, but it's gonna be the easiest way for you to get in and out of those situations. One of the things, and I just want to bring this up because we don't usually get 2 SROs in the station, so I know when I was an SRO, and I think there's some publicity out there, some people that think that SROs are there to punish our kids and get them in the criminal justice system and get them in this pipeline so that they're going to just be troublemakers for the rest of their life. And I know from my work there, and I know because I work with these guys, that is the farthest thing from the truth. We are there to get them out of the criminal justice system. We are there to show them that, hey, in the real world, some of these actions you're doing are going to have real consequences. And we go through far extents to let the school handle most issues. But some things rise to that occasion. Either they've been given several like school punishments and it's not working, or they've hurt somebody physically to an extent where the law has to get involved, which would have been, whether you do that at school, at home, it's gonna be the same thing, right? You don't get a freebie in school to do a legal activity, right? You can still get punished for that. I just know that we go through great lengths, and we work with the schools. And I've had several meetings with my staff when I was an SRO, and we say, what is the best thing for this kid? What does this kid particularly need to succeed? And if it needs us to get involved, then we're involved. If it's not for us to get involved, we want to try other things, by all means, because all we want is for people to obey the laws, be respectful of others, and not find themselves in the justice system. So I know there's that feeling out there that that's what we're here for, but we're here basically to keep them out of the justice system, the criminal justice system. So
Great reminder.
I 100% agree with that. A lot of what we do as school resource officers is education and preventative stuff, and there's a lot of times where something maybe does rise to the level of a crime that we are involved with, and depending upon the age and the circumstances and background and stuff like that, kind of like Lieutenant Williams was just talking about, we would ultimately talk with them and let them know, like, hey, if this happens again, or you end up doing this in the community, you could get in trouble for this, or you could do this. And a lot of what we try to do is prevent this and educate them to let them know, and hopefully that this works and helps prevent stuff in the future from that, either that student or students in general.
Yeah, one of the main reasons that police officers are in schools to begin with are to build those relationships with the kids. Students in elementary, middle school, high school, those are all of our future citizens in our community, and you don't establish those relationships by trying to arrest everybody and things like that. So that is exactly what we do not do. We're there to build relationships. We take extra measures to try to change the behavior before it gets to a point where law enforcement action has to be taken. And that's the whole goal of tickets and criminal charges for anyone, even adults, is to change the behavior. We don't do it as a punishment per se. Obviously it's seen that way, but the goal is to change the behavior, because if it never happens again, then you don't ever have any more consequences. It doesn't happen, right? So the behavior changes, then anything punitive or anything consequential ends as well. So if it changes, then that's what we want. So and we take a lot of extra steps in the summertime as well. It's not always just not having any contact with the students as SROs. We do a lot with our social workers in our community, and we do a youth advocacy group where we take students that are at risk of having contact with the juvenile justice system, and we try to build those relationships and try to give them something fun and positive to do in the summer. It also removes the possibility of having those negative interactions with peers or out in the community and things like that. So and there's an extensive list. If you go on to the Fond du Lac Police Department Facebook page or other social media, you'll see a lot of the things that the SROs have been doing over the summer, because that's our time to have those positive interactions with kids. And so that's really what we're about. We're not about dropping the hammer on them and things like that. So if you ever have any questions, or you feel like something it is something different than that, then I encourage you to have contact with your SRO and have those open conversations, because they're there for that, and they're more than willing to communicate with you and try to work out any issues.
Yeah. Important information and reminders. Wish you guys and everybody else a safe and great school year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Find the badge, KFIZ today.
Morning talk, city's hot. A new day, let's all start. Behind the badge, we'll stand tall through the ups and the fall. From the Lac, hear the call. Behind the badge, we're all